Welcome back, guys, to Samurai Reviews. As you can see, we have a new setup. We're very excited to come back at you again to do some reviewing. It's been a while, and today's review will be
sponsored by...
Oh, man.
No sponsors.
No sponsors, unfortunately. But this was helped and produced by Katana Media Productions. You can go and check them out. The movie we will be reviewing is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 by James Gunn. Do you want to start us off with that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm just going to cut to the quick. This was my favorite MCU movie to date. It is number one.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it. Bias alert. I'm the bias alert. Star-Lord is like a top 3 hero for me, so keep that in mind. I still think even, without my affinity for the Guardians and Star-Lord himself, this is one of the best Marvel movies they've made ever.
I, in part, agree with him, but also in part do not agree with him, just because of a few things that will probably,
You said you want to do this!
that we'll probably, discuss a little bit further on. But just letting you know, this is a non-spoiler review.
Oh, yeah, we should have said that at the beginning.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? That is your number one favorite movie? Break it down for me.
Honestly, just bare minimum, I can't think of a bad part about this movie. I never sat there and went oh, this is kind of a lull. I think it has some of the best character development, and it doesn't just develop a single character, it develops an entire team of characters. Of course, it has the added benefit of having 2 movies prior to build those characters, but it knocks it out of the park. It sets itself up well, and it finishes well. It's trying to set itself up as this is the end of the trilogy.
I completely agree with that as far as James Gunn does a really good part of directing or just, storytelling a group of protagonists instead of just that one. There's a lot of different focus between each character, and each character does have its own overall character arc, their own personal theme, and James Gunn does a really good job of hitting those themes of those characters.
And it never felt like filler.
There wasn't actually any dull moments, and that's I felt it was the same as far as other James Gunn movies out there. If anything, because of that reason, Guardians of the Galaxy 1, I would say, beats and kind of trumps this Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Not saying that it was terrible. I'm saying Guardians of the Galaxy 1, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I think most people will have, not to say that you're suffering from the nostalgia pill, but I think most people will have that the first was always better. Guardians 1 was my favorite before this movie. Yeah, I came out of it thinking if this isn't my favorite, then what's the point?
My argument is, yes, obviously that there's a little nostalgia to it, but the reason is because he already set his tone of directing and the way he directs in that first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, that that's what you're kind of expecting in the third one, or in any of his other movies. And that's probably why I give more of that first Guardians the upper rating, because of that originalness that he's kind of put his style into.
So I think you see movies a little differently. So what I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that you like the first one because, I'm not challenging you, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah.
You like that movie because you were watching it for the direction rather than or more so the direction than the story.
Yeah,
more so the direction than the character.
Guardians 1, he kind of set that tone in his style already, but that's kind of where I give its originalitiness to it.
So I think that's fair. It's, for me, that's why I liked this one better in a sense. I liked that he set it up from that, and the big difference between Guardians 1 and 3 for me, as they're my number 1 and 2 for Marvel movies, the big difference for me was the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie felt very Star-Lord movie. Same with more so with the second one.
Okay.
But I think like in the end, it did have them all come together, and it did have like everyone pieced like put their part into the outcome of that movie, right? I think this one, I never felt like, other than maybe they do highlight Rocket's backstory a lot in this, which is heart-wrenching, and part of the other reason that I love it. Every single person got their moment, and every single person, it didn't seem like they were overshadowed by a Star-Lord or overshadowed by like a Gamora or something. Everyone felt like they were their own character. Everyone felt like they were. It was highlighting the team, and that's what I really liked about it, because it was the first Guardians movie that was a Guardians movie through and through
of the Galaxy movie. Well, that makes sense to me. Yeah, I totally give that a fair argument. To me, I didn't find anything at least negative. Soundtrack was awesome. Everything kind of just flowed really well. There was no dull parts. Acting was amazing as far as acting goes. Mm-hmm. The one thing I do want to mention is that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 probably made me tear up
like multiple times. Multiple times, yeah.
Where Guardians of the Galaxy 1, it just hits you once and you're just bawling kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where
it was repeated gut punches in this movie.
Exactly.
And this is the most hatred I've ever had for a single villain in any movie.
Really?
Any movie. Well, no, that's not true. John Wick exists. This is the second most hatred I've had for a villain in any movie.
You know what? I think that's a good point, is that the villain in the third one, I felt was definitely felt like a villain compared to the first one.
I needed him to be
because the first Ronan was like it
wasn't really fleshed out.
Yeah, it was, his character wasn't fleshed out, and you get more of his character in like Marvel.
I think Guardians also had like the slightly different tone in the first one, where it was like they didn't need to, because that first movie was like, it was supposed to be kind of jovial.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this movie's jovial too, but like they really want it to feel heavy.
Right.
Like, they really want you to feel its weight. Whereas the first one, it's like, we're just doing this fun, kooky, like Guardians movie with some fun characters, and we hope people enjoy it. And then we did. But like this one, they were like really trying to like hit that home run.
Yeah,
I think they did it.
As far as a Marvel villain, I thought the guy who played this villain was solid, and his dialogue was really, really, good.
He put his emotion into
at the very end, where it was like the climax of the movie, it just felt all the better, of like the payoff of the whole story. And honestly, I did like the soundtrack in the first one more than this one, but that's just because I have more of like that connection. Like, I know more of the songs in the first one.
They do go decade by decade, kind of,
too.
They do a lot of 80s in the first one, 90s in the second, and then they kind of hit the thousands.
The thousands in this one. Anything else you would like to add?
If I really, really have to put a negative on this movie, and I'm being really nitpicky when I do, if I absolutely have to say something, it's that sometimes you get one of those heart-wrenching scenes, and then immediately cuts to like Drax like punching someone in the butt or something, like just like and it's funny, but like I was like good one, Drax, it was like, and it's a hard tonal shift to hit.
It is,
and I think they did it the best they possibly could, but like sometimes I was like still coming out of that.
If they would have kind of held that scene a little longer, for sure, instead of just cutting and moving on, that would have definitely lingered that emotional ride that we kind of were put through, right?
But also, that's also me grasping at a very, very tiny thread. In the grand scheme of things, like, this movie was like fantastic. It highlighted each, like, there's like a combat scene. There's multiple combat scenes where they like fight in like a enclosed space all together, and you get to see each one of their like skills like highlighted in a fluid, no cut, like action scene, which I'm always about a no cut action scene. So like, and they did that twice
for sure. Like I said, I always like it when they show and not tell kind of thing. And that's definitely what happened
with like Rocket specifically.
With Rocket specifically, and each individual characters. And that's why I kind of give like John Wick that credibility as well, because like it shows a lot of his personality, his character through his actions. I'm talking about just the first three, maybe.
First three, fucking fantastic. I got beef with the last movie.
But that's what Guardians of the Galaxy did, and I thought it was an overall. They wrapped it up really well. There was payoffs to every single character. It was heart wrenching. It was emotional. Definitely worth watching, and for me, it's definitely a rewatchable movie as well. Maybe stand alone in a way.
I think if this was your first Guardians movie, you'd be fine.
You'd be completely fine. Like he said, it kind of hit more of like the Guardians of the Galaxy as a team instead of the other two.
Yeah,
which were more heavy focused on Star-Lord's backstory and history.
It has a lot of this movie has a lot of closure. Still think in the end Drax was a little wasted, but like I think that's another thing about this movie actually. I think Drax's character was as fulfilled as he could have been through this movie. I think they did a good job of taking whatever they had from those first two movies, which I didn't think was enough. But they took what they had and they actually made a decently fulfilling end for him.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
All right. You sitting down for this?
I'm pretty sure I'm sitting down for this.
I can't tell. I thought long and hard on this.
Okay, all right.
And I slept on it. If I'm ever going to give a Marvel movie a 10, it's this one.
It's this one.
It's this one.
Really?
And it'll be my first MCU 10. I thought long and hard. I was like, it's at least a 9. It was at least a 9 for a really long time for me. I'm going with a 10. I was just like, I just can't point to a thing in this movie where I was like, oh, that sucks. And I can't even point to a part in this movie where I was like, that's okay. Like it was all like through every minute I was like wanting more. And like if I'm not going to give a 10 for that, like. So.
I thought this movie was as equal and equivalent to Guardians of the Galaxy 1,
which I gave it 9.
Which I gave it a 9 out of 10. So that is what I'm going to rate it, is a 9 out of 10. So that comes out to a Samurai Reviews.
9.5. 9.5.
Thanks for joining us on our non-spoiler review of Guardians of the Galaxy. Go ahead and subscribe.
Hit that like.
And smash that like button.
Smash it if you will.
I'm pretty sure that's what they say nowadays.
I think they said that like 10 years ago, but I think it works.
There you have it.
Dope that sicko mode button. But yeah, but thanks for watching. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. We did it.
Pause the awkwardness. Just cut it.
Just how to close things out. We'll think about how to close things out.
We'll
we get more than like 100 views.